Brandon, it sounds to me like he is potentially hinting that this may have been his last race, maybe leaving the door open for 2026. But it sounds like at least next season he's not going to do one of these one Xfinity Series races. And stat that was brought up on the broadcast this week, you can trace it back to 1996 across the top three, really the top two national series. That's what I want to see Dale Jr. do. Actually, I want to see him run a truck before he completely hangs up the helmet. But he started at least one race in NASCAR's top three divisions for, I guess, my goodness, the last 29 seasons in a row now. So if he doesn't run a one-off race next year, it's really going to be truly the end of an era in that regard. So what did you think of seeing Junior back out on the track again Friday night? And if this is the end, how are you going to remember this post Cup Series semi-retirement one-off era for Dale Jr. in the Xfinity Series?
I mean, once again, he proved that he's an absolute Wild West cowboy that, whenever duty calls to go for the one-off, he can come in with some terrible circumstances and still show that he's one of the best to ever do it. I mean, the whole helmet situation. Sorry, I might have froze there. The whole helmet situation had me like, wow, like, you know, this dad, coming into the car, has to prepare all, months and months in advance, if not the whole year prior. So, okay, I got to get back in this, got to do this, and race against a bunch of these kids again, who do this all year long, and just the conditioning that goes into being able to do that again alone has always impressed me every single year that we've had the Hellman's 88 and Dale Jr. doing his one off. But also just the unscripted scenarios that any driver has to deal with any day of the calendar year. But Dale Jr. in his one off having a radio issue with his helmet and having to go through all of that while the car is moving and put it back on and all this stuff, and still being able to finish well, that's just storybook stuff. No matter where he finished there, that was a great finish there for Dale Earnhardt Jr. And just a great race to come back into it. Yeah, with seventh place finish. He says he's focusing on TNT next year, which I think is all power to him. That's great. I want TNT to be fantastic. I want Prime to be fantastic. I want it all to be highly competitive and to show NBC and show Fox up and make them shiver, and think, wow, we've got to step up our game. We have competition again. And, we can't just do what we've been doing and get by, we actually have to pay attention to our quality control, So, yeah, I hope they have a great job, not only on the camera crew, and not only production, but also up there in the booth. So I'm really glad that he's, even if it is ending a streak, I'm glad he's taking his time with it and focusing on it. And if that means being out of the car, that's okay. But 2026, he did give us a little tease of maybe might do this again. But if I had to assume, I'd say as far as the one race a year calendar is concerned for Dale Jr., I think we definitely are on the latter end of it. It's just whenever he decides that is going to be, I definitely think we are in the last couple of years of that venture, though.
I hesitate to even bring this up because I'm going to make both of us feel old. I'm going to make the people watching feel old. But Dale Earnhardt Jr. does turn 50 next month.
Yeah.
So he's certainly, which again is remarkable to think about the fact that he's outlived his father and is approaching 50 years old is just doesn't feel like that much time has passed by here. But like I mentioned, it's been for the better part of 3 decades he's been running NASCAR in the top 3 divisions to some extent. So when you think of it like that, I guess it's kind of remarkable that he still has been doing this for the last couple of years. And I don't know. I mean, in an alternate timeline where his concussions don't happen, I think he probably would have stayed in Cup until maybe 2019 or 2020 or so. Probably would have had one more contract extension in him. But I think he made the wise decision to step away from the full-time grind after that second bout with the serious concussions where he had to basically sit out the entire second half of the year in 2016. So again, it's unfortunate to think about the what ifs, how his career ended, but
yeah, prolonged his career by doing so. So we're certainly thankful that he did. He did stop when he did.
Yeah, and again, it's been great to see him. Once or twice a year over the last several years. I know I was going back and forth with Matthew Owens this week. I do agree with his point that probably not ideal for the sport's most popular driver or most well-known driver to be somebody that's mostly retired that only comes out of retirement once a year. But I don't think that's on Dale. I think that's more on NASCAR and our current star drivers for not putting themselves out there more in the sport for marketing them as well as they were able to capitalize on Dale Jr. and his fan base. So. But we'll see. I mean, it's certainly going to be an issue if he steps away next year. I know he said, the sponsorship with Hellman's has played a big part in what he's been doing the last several years, and maybe he's not going to need to do that next year. And obviously with him, we haven't seen him on the NBC broadcast this year because he's been contractually bound to Turner and Prime for 25 and beyond here. So we'll see. I selfishly, as somebody who grew up rooting for that Budweiser car and then the Amp Energy National Guard car in the Hendrick days. Again, I'm going to miss not seeing him out on the track, going forward here, whenever this run does come to an end. Like you mentioned, Brad, I think we're certainly on the back end of them. But again, it amazes me how he comes out here once a year and is immediately able to take the fight to the drivers that are out here, if not every week, at least the Ryan Truexes of the world who have won a couple races this year, who have multiple starts to their name, at least on a part-time basis. And he's fighting with them, for a top 5 or top 10 as if he never left. And I think that's
and with multiple different venues as well.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So with multiple different venues as well. I mean, not only Bristol, but you look back at Richmond, he still put up quite a fight.
For sure.
Almost in contend for the win.
Yeah, I remember the very first year he did it, 2018. I think he led the most laps in that Richmond race and probably would have been on a path to win it had some of the late cautions not fallen the way that they did. I think he still ended up with like a 4th place finish or something that night. So again, yeah, I mean every year obviously he had the issue with the car last year in this race, but he's always been competitive, and I think that's part of what he's realizing too, is that maybe it's getting harder to continue to be this competitive, and he doesn't want to, all due respect to, I mean, Morgan Shepherd was doing this well into his 70s, with his own program and everything, but obviously he was on a shoestring budget and was just doing it out of pure passion of the sport. I don't know if Dale Jr. wants to be doing this for the next 20 to 25 years here. I think if he's going to continue to do it, I think he wants to do it while he's still able to come in here and run as well as he's been. And I think he's perhaps recognizing that those days are certainly coming to an end here, and doesn't know how much longer he's going to be able to do that. So in the meantime, just run the occasional Cars Tour race or a late model deal, maybe the Xfinity stuff. This is going to be the last hurrah here. But if it is, nice way to go out here fighting with, Ryan Truex. Of course, he and Martin Truex Jr. have such a great relationship and go way back. So cool to see the two of them fighting on track. And, we'll see. We'll see if he's back in 26 or not. But if this is the end, it's been a heck of a career.
I will say, I think I can see the short track stuff lasting a lot longer than anything on the main national tour side, though, since especially with the ownership partnership and things like that.
Yeah, I think he's going to be doing that well into his 50s, at least another half decade or better part of a decade.
Come on, Kenny Wallace, you can do it in your 60s too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Kenny Schrader.
Ken Schrader, his best buddy. Yeah,
still racing. Yeah, so yeah, certainly not stepping out of the car entirely here. But as for Xfinity, we'll see if it's it or not.